Marshall skips away, Marshall skips away, Marshall's still going, Marshall's got Richards coming up outside, now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TGIF podcast. Thank God it's footy. Here we are again, back at it after another week. How are you, Bright? You've just got in from a game of indoor netties.
Yeah.
Looks pretty intense.
G'day again, listeners. It's good to be back with you as always. Now, a little bit of a indoor netball game now. They call it Fast 5. It's definitely fast. It's full on. It's furious.
Fast and furious. Yeah.
It's definitely something different. Something I'm not too used to, being a goalkeeper by trade back in the day, and can't say running was ever something that was my forte. But it's been good fun. We got absolutely slaughtered tonight by a bunch of about 20-year-olds who are all probably 6'3", 6'4". We would put to our paces today, that's for sure. Been another, I guess, poor week of weather for us here up in Auckland. We managed to both of us get out on the course for that little smidgen of sun that we had there on Saturday.
Yeah, it was good. Started off a bit misty and was in a bit of doubt, but burnt right through and had a good day for it. But unfortunately, both of us not scoring the best, raising the bat at the turn of the 9. Never the best thing in golf.
Not the best golf, really, that was played, but a bloody good walk. I think I was one over. I think I could only go one over, through the back to hit my handicap. So yeah, sort of scorecard was out the window early on. But big weekend for me this weekend. I'm hoping my fortunes are a little bit better. I've got the Spring Open up at Birkenhead Darts Club, which will be a big one. So. Lots of action to sink my teeth into over the weekend. I'll be getting my practice in throughout the week, hopefully, and keep getting in on those doubles, and hopefully we can get underway. My first little debut of proper tournament darts, so it'll be interesting to see how we go. And I think Fred will be keen to get back into it after his little debut last week with the Youth Open.
Yeah, well, good luck to you both. I mean, we just had a quick squiz through the list of prizes. Plenty on offer, so
a few tasty ones, yeah.
Hopefully one of you two lads can get yourselves involved in taking away a prize or two.
I like the look of first 171. I'm thinking maybe over the next few days just get in there on those 19s and right from the get-go just try and get in there, get in the head of the opponent by switching up to the 19s early on and see if we can nab ourselves $50. But we're not here to talk about amateur sports, amateur sports people. We're here to talk about the pros. So that's what we're going to give you. Now, looking at the news in the world of rugby league, there's a little bit coming out of your guys' camp there with the Dragons. Cody Ramsey's in a little bit of post-surgery strife.
Yeah, obviously Fox League reporting there that, like you said, in a bit of strife in the hospital after a bit of surgery, so
ulcerative colitis.
Yeah, I was going to say UC, but there you go. Sounds very, very painful. I mean, there's some reports going out that it could rule out the remainder of his career, but hopefully not, for our sake, for his sake, for everyone's sake, because he's a young bloke who just really started to nail down that fullback jersey that he wanted so badly for us, so started to play some really good footy, and I'm sure he's gutted that he's cooped up in the hospital going through what he's going through rather than out there running around with the boys in pre-season. I mean, I'm sure the boys that are there will be feeling it, but yeah, not as much as Cody, eh?
Nah, not at all. So it's sad to see, but hopefully, I think he's young, he's fit, he's healthy. So I'm sure he'll be back up on his 2 feet in no time.
Yeah, hopefully that sort of end of career talk that we've seen is like, that sort of top 0.01%
It's that
worst case scenario.
sort of shit, Now, sticking with league, Fox again done a little bit of a post ranking the forward packs of all the teams as we get into next season. And one man in particular who wasn't too happy with the way it's turned out. James Fisher-Harris, now he's come out today and sort of done a little bit of a comment saying the disrespect of the post there. Got to say, I'm probably agreeing with him here on this one.
Yeah, look, very bizarre that Fox have gone and ranked Penrith in 6th there. I mean, back-to-back premiers, the big man himself, Fisher-Harris, Liam Martin, all of these blokes, I mean, they're tearing it up.
When you have a look through of where some of the teams have been placed, obviously your lads there down rock bottom in 17th. The new position that we've got here in the NRL now, with the arrival of the Dolphins, and my Tigers sitting there in 13th now. We've sort of seen, I guess, a few improvements here for the Tigers, over the off-season, which is nice to see. So I guess you can see why we're maybe a little bit higher than where others may be placing us, but a bit rough on your lads. Maybe it's because of the two incoming Tigers that you've got there.
Yeah, smack down in 17th. I mean, look, I saw this and I thought that's one thing. Go out there and prove them wrong, lads. I mean, there's plenty of fuel for those teams that maybe think they might be due a higher ranking, and also plenty of fuel for those teams that, for example, the Cowboys, they'll be wanting to go out there and show everyone this year that that's the truth, that they are the best pack out there. But there are some debatable ones in there. I mean, I've certainly seen some difference in opinions throughout the comments.
A couple of rough ones, I guess, when you look at it as a whole, but
I certainly wouldn't agree with every single ranking on that list.
I'd the same. I'd have a few change-ups, that's for sure. Now, switching it up, a little bit of the round ball. Now, obviously, we've had the World Cup going on, so it's cup fever, we're all about cup fever. There's nothing better. But don't let the club news slip away. There's still been some happenings going on and some goings on. Now, looking over in Italy, in Serie A, there's been a little bit of goings, I guess you could say. I was going to say comings and goings, but there's no comings just yet. Goings at Juventus now. Their whole board of directors have stood down today.
Yeah, look, when I read this one, I thought, very, very hectic. Coming from a business, background, it has got dodgy written all over it. I mean, there's not too many people that get themselves up to that position in the world. Directors of companies, and especially massive football clubs like Juventus, and sort of don't back themselves to be able to turn things around if things just aren't going well. So yeah, this one definitely is pointing towards some very dodgy dealings there, and sort of makes you cast your mind back a few years. Saw something similar happen. Perhaps those of us of a similar age to us have just heard the stories rather than paid much attention to it on the news. But Parma FC, back in there, I think 2003 to 5, were involved with some very serious accounting fraud and defraudation of investors, if that's a word. Reports that Juventus have done similar, defrauding their investors by producing false accounting information and invoices of non-existent transactions, which, that's just very, very serious and could be a long stint in jail for whoever's responsible for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like you said, all very dodgy sounding to me. Obviously, Andrea Agnelli there, who was the president of Juventus, was sort of one of the big main fellas, with the talks of the breakaway plans to form that Super League last year. So, it doesn't sound good. Not good to be a Juventus fan at the moment.
Obviously, it's
that's
all just allegedly at the moment.
Allegedly,
but,
yeah, we don't
allegedly,
have the information hot at our
supposedly.
fingertips. But we're here to report, and we're here to try and give you a little bit of club football just to keep you going throughout this World Cup. Now,
And it's not alleged that they've stood down. That's fact.
that's true.
That's
fact. That's factual. We
So-
don't have the information in our fingertips. I can tell you right now, I'm not holding anything that tells me that, but it's hot. It's hot off the press. It's there on the internet. You can get your eyes on it yourself. Now, sticking with the football, it's interesting. I guess it's sad. It's unfortunate. It's not what you want to be seeing, but it's something you probably want to have a look at. As rough as it sounds. Now, I hadn't seen it. You were actually the one that alerted me to this one here. Now, I want to say bit of action, bit of hoo-ha going on in the Turkish second division.
Bit of hiss.
Yeah.
The Göztepe goalkeeper was attacked by a fan.
Unreal.
It was insane. Like,
Whacked over the top of the head, coming in from the behind.
I saw it. The first thing I saw was a picture of him being stretchered off with his face all bloodied up, and I was like, "Oh, what's happened here?" Has something similar happened, like we saw with the Iranian goalkeeper, where he's just taken some sort of, forehead or knee to the schnoz? But no, read the article. A big derby game over there in Turkey. They've got a big reputation for being a bit crazier than your average football fan over there, and yeah, some crazy fucking bastard has run onto the pitch, grabbed the corner flag during all the sort of, I think it was like the game was stopped for
some
flares
sort of
or something. There was
altercation going on.
all sorts of security and cops down in the corner, and yeah, some fucking crazy bastards picked up the corner flag and blindsided the keeper there. So fuck. Fingers crossed, he's all good there. I'm probably gonna cock up his name, but Ozan Evrim Ozinch.
I can't correct you. I'm going to have to agree with you on that one there. I think that's possibly how you pronounce it. But like you said, we'll be crossing our fingers and our toes for him,
Yeah,
hoping that
fucking hectic.
he's all good. It's not what you want to be seeing.
It was
but
like Jack
it's-
Grealish getting cracked by that Birmingham fan that ran onto the
yeah.
pitch. But this is obviously, Grealish was fine to
this
carry
is
on
that
and
sort of
play.
step
This
up,
is, he's been seriously injured. It's fucking pretty crazy, yeah.
But now I wanted to say, enlighten news, but it's not light news. I think we only gave you one little tip last week for the World Cup there. It didn't come off. Now it's no surprise there. I believe only one of the four came off. I had England getting that draw there, which sort of threw me off. I had Wales to beat Iran, which obviously didn't come through. So I think it was done by the first game, but we'll be crossing our fingers throughout this next round of games. Hopefully, we can maybe see something that pops up and get a little bit more money in the kitty. Now I've still got that money there from last week sitting there. It's ready to go. So hopefully we can bring you something, punters, something that will just get you rolling over again.
Yeah, I've gone and found a few multis this week. You'll hear them a bit later, and you can analyse them for yourselves. Sorry I couldn't provide you anything last week, but yeah, I've done my best to find some value this week, and yeah, we'll be both crossing our fingers, like you say, to the punting gods, and perhaps we'll offer up a ritual of some sort over the week to see if we can get them on side, but you'll have to stay tuned for that one. I don't have anything in mind as of yet. But on that note, shall we move into a bit of a discussion of the World Cup, the goings on.
We'll take a look at those games that we've just seen, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Starting off there with Iran picking up a good win there against Wales, thanks to a hectic challenge there from Wayne Hennessy.
Bit of a shocker, that one there. I got to say, as a keeper, not really the type of ball you need to be coming out for. I don't think that one there.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any need to be making the challenge when you've got the defensive cover, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, they almost held on in the end for a draw, but Iran managed to snag a couple of goals there in injury time. So unlucky Wales. I suppose they'll be stoked just to be back at another World Cup on one level, but on another level they'll be pretty disappointed. But Iran, they bounced back from their lowest of lows, conceding 6 against England with a good one.
Yeah, they'll be real happy the way that's ended up for them, and obviously sort of keeps them in the hunt there for making it through into the knockouts.
Yeah, and I guess another shout out, Ena Valencia, moving on from that game, becoming the first South American and the fourth player overall to score 6 consecutive World Cup goals for their country. So well done to him, and
pretty solid feat, that one there.
Yeah, like you said when they were listening through those other 3 names there, he's joined some pretty esteemed company in terms of footballing legends. Yeah, and well done Ecuador there overall for picking up a draw, and probably could have had a win. Unlucky to have a goal ruled out by VAR, but I suppose a goalkeeper might be better to talk on that. If someone's in your eye line and they're offside, maybe that is a bit unfair. But
yeah, it's a bit of a...
another thing is, I guess, where could he go? He's making the run, but I suppose the rules are the rules. He's offside, and it ends up a draw. And at the end of the day, the Dutch team were probably favourites going into that one in a lot of people's eyes. So
it's not obviously all doom and gloom there for Netherlands. Obviously, they're still sitting there top. They've still got to play Qatar. There you go. So it's you'd like to think that they probably will cruise through there and top of the table, but it's obviously it makes a little tasty matchup there for Ecuador and Senegal in this final group game there in that group.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess England, USA was another big game to talk about. Another one that a draw. One side probably would have been heavy favourites with the bookies there in England, and USA probably unlucky not to come away with the win in the end.
Yeah, I thought they kind of dominated them, to be fair. England didn't look too flash. Kind of a little bit of like what the talk's been, I guess, with England about maybe setting up a little bit too defensive, maybe not trying to get at the other teams a little bit, and obviously USA with I guess nothing to lose go into that game there thinking that they can sort of snag themselves a result and keep their qualification hopes alive, and they've managed to do that. And like you said, possibly a little bit gutted to not come away with the win there in that one.
Yeah, unlucky. Pulisic hitting the bar there, and was it McKennie blazing one wide or high?
McKennie, I think it was, that missed one that he probably should have got on target.
Yeah, probably would have been a goal. 9 times out of 10 was just unlucky not to put that one in the back of the net. So England, really getting away with one there, I suppose. And like you said, maybe I saw it described as a return to the England side that they saw in the Nations League that got relegated, rather than the England side that showed so much promise and flair against Iran. So, interesting to see.
That sort of step up in opponent there, possibly. Maybe a little bit more, what we expect of England, I guess, recently.
Yeah.
But now, one of the only games that I managed to get the whole live game in throughout the weekend.
Yep, me too.
Was Australia up against Tunisia, and the Aussies coming away with a win in this one.
Yeah, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Now, Socceroos' first World Cup win since 2010, so it's cool to see.
Yeah, we love it.
Mitch Duke with the goal there to get the winner.
Yeah, it was an insane finish, really, when you think about it. Really good reactions, and yeah, whether you want to call him lucky or whether he knew what he was doing, good little flick over the back of his head and over the keeper into the opposite top corner was a really good finish. And yeah, I mean, Tunisia were probably a little bit unlucky not to make the most of, I guess, dominating proceedings, but Australia, I think I saw it described, Australia were a lot more settled in their motions and a lot more assured, whereas Tunisia, they had all the right energy, the right passion, but it was just a bit helter-skelter. I mean, I said to you the other day, you can't really expect a side like Tunisia to be going out there and playing perfect football, every single player sprinting at full tit. Perhaps like we've seen of great Barcelona or Real Madrid or Man United or Arsenal teams over the years. They don't quite have that, so maybe a bit of pragmatism for them would have seen them go a little bit better in this one, but a couple of really good performances from the Aussies. None more so than Harry Suter at the back. I thought he was immense.
Yeah, he had a really good game.
good.
Really awesome game. Obviously, plies his trade there out of Stoke City. And yeah, I thought he seemed to boss Tunisia throughout most of that game there, and I think pretty well deserved clean sheet for him there. And I think the rest of the lads were pretty pleased with how they played as a whole. And obviously for them, yeah, they're in second now, so it really gave them a good chance there to hopefully, if they, for their sake, if they can nab a result against Denmark, get into a bit of knockout footy.
Yeah, it keeps the Aussies alive for the final match there. I believe everybody is alive in that group.
Yep, Denmark and Tunisia still can. Obviously Tunisia with a bit of a hard task there.
Yeah, trying to go with the.
But it is a French team that will probably be rested, I can imagine.
Yeah, might have a few players given the chance to rest their legs for a couple of days extra. But to be honest, when you run through the French squad, it's not too much of a drop off in quality, really. If you do chuck a few of the other players that haven't played yet in, I'm sure they'll go all right, and they'll still be heavily fancying their chances in that one.
Now, one of the teams there that I guess talk of that first round,
Yeah,
Saudi
big
Arabia.
talking point.
Now, bit of a heartbreaking one for them, that one against Poland. 2-0 win there for Poland with Lewandowski managing to get his goal there finally.
Yeah, look, he's pretty much done all there is to do in the game, bar obviously win a World Cup. Bit of a hard ask with Poland there, but yeah, he hadn't scored a World Cup finals goal before, so yeah, not much old Robert Lewandowski hasn't done in the game now. You could see the joy on his face as soon as he got that in, the relief as well, I suppose. But look, it's probably an expected result in hindsight. If you're buying into the hype of the first game, you might have been, like me, hoping for a good Saudi win, but look, like you said, Al Sharani there, it was a huge miss for the Saudis there. It was definitely a different dynamic to the side without him.
Yeah, well and truly different. I think that was probably one of the big, I guess, misses there for Saudi. They didn't really have him there to sort of secure them up a little bit at the back. But yeah, real heartbreaking. I was pretty cut, I must say. I was hoping that they would be able to become the first team to qualify for the knockout stages of this World Cup. But it wasn't to be. But one of the teams that did manage to get out of the group stages and qualify and become the first team since Brazil in 2006 to be a defending champion and make it out, and that is France.
Pretty insane when you think about it, eh? I mean, obviously football's a lot more competitive in terms of the number of teams that can win the World Cup compared to the likes of the Rugby League World Cup and the Women's Rugby World Cup that we've just recently seen. But yeah, to be the first defending champion to make it out since Brazil, hectic one.
Yeah,
very hectic.
Very weird stat. Obviously, a couple of upsets over the last few World Cups that we've seen. But no, they did. They managed to get themselves through, and yeah, like we said before, they've got a game up against Tunisia now. Are they going to rest a couple of players, or are they just going to try and cruise on through and continue this run of form that they're on?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the French probably had a little bit of a tougher run of things in this one against the Danes. But also in saying that, I thought the Danes definitely brought a lot more than what they did previously against Tunisia. But yeah, like you said, just how far can this France team go? Mbappe, this dude is on another planet right now.
Scoring goals for fun.
He's just tearing people up. I mean, it's not fair for opposition right backs at the moment. Centre backs, everyone on the field really. Yeah, it'd be hard to stop him, and it'd be hard to stop the French at the moment, by the looks of things. But another man who's up there in the stratosphere of players that are certainly unplayable on his day, arguably the most famous name in world football, if not the second most famous, Lionel Messi, bringing the goods for Argentina to score a bit of a rumour, I must say. A world-class strike from a world-class player. We've been saying it. It takes a really good strike to beat Ochoa, and he's done it.
Yeah, good on him. He's managed to, I guess, answer the prayers of all the Argentinian fans out there. I saw one of the coaches, Pablo Aimar, even brought to tears with the goal that he scored there. But to be, I think, what did I say? Was it his second group stage game, his group stage goal possibly that he scored in his World Cups?
It might have been his second against Saudi.
Against Saudi.
I think you said something about 2 from 23.
Possibly it was that game there, but to be able to get the goal in a game like that, where they've obviously had a bit of an upset the week before, and it was looking like maybe that they weren't even going to get out of the group, to put them into a pretty tasty position now. They're sitting in second, and I think they'll really be hoping to get another win there against Poland and make sure that they can get through into that knockout stage.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely showed a lot more in that one than they did against the Saudis. A great second goal as well for the RGs. Keep them in contention. Like you said, Lionel Messi's answered their prayers, and yeah, if they can get past Poland, I think a lot of people will be rating them to, make a good run of it and go deep based on their pre-tournament form there. And not who better to lead you to glory than Lionel Messi. He's done it on a number of occasions for Barcelona over the years, and just recently we've seen him manage to break the deadlock with Argentina with that Copa America. But yeah, he'll be after that big one, that's for sure. So definitely a big game up against the Poles.
Yeah, real big game, and obviously lots up for offer there in that one.
Lots of people watching that one with Messi's World Cup fortunes on the line, but another game that a bit of a shock. Maybe not as big of a shock as the Saudis beating the Argies, but Costa Rica bouncing back well to beat the Japs there.
Yeah, sort of continuing that run of upsets, I guess, and yeah, coming up with a little bit of an unexpected win. Now, I'm not too pleased with how it's gone, obviously, with them sort of stealing our spot, but it's the way it goes, and I think Japan, who had come away with a win in that first game, they were looking like they were going to be able to solidify their spot in the knockout stages. Obviously, still sitting pretty there in second, but they've got it all to play for now. But I think they'll be pretty disappointed losing that game there to Costa Rica, who sort of looked like they hadn't turned up to the World Cup in that first game, where they got pummeled against Spain. But yeah, a bit of an interesting one, this one.
Yeah, whether that 7-0 against Spain was a bit of wool over the eyes or a bit too much hype over the Japanese side, even then, I still would have liked to have seen Japan pick up the win, regardless of those first results on their day. Well, of course on their day, but more often than not. So yeah, a bit of a strange one. Obviously, like you said, down here, down under, we're a bit bitter that the Costa Ricans are there instead of us, the All Whites. But I guess if you wanna be black and white about it, I suppose it wasn't really their fault. It was some dodgy refereeing and VAR decisions. But fuck, it would have been really good to see Japan book their route through to the knockout stages with a win there, and disappointing they couldn't in the end.
Yeah, now another team who I think will be pretty stoked with how their performance was over the last few days and getting a bit of an upset win, and that was Morocco, who battled pretty hard to come up against an aging or an elderly Belgium side, as Kevin De Bruyne might say. A little bit of talk after this one that he's come out and said that he thinks that the team is too old to win a World Cup. They've lost a few of those players that they had the last time around and haven't really been able to replace them as much, and there's some players who possibly are still there that maybe shouldn't. But I think it's quite sad to see, when you look at a few of those players, particularly someone like Eden Hazard, who had so much quality when he was at Chelsea, and then once he shipped over to Real Madrid, just to see him sort of the way he is now. Bit of a rough one there for Belgium, but I think Morocco, they'll be really happy with how that game turned out.
Yeah, look, I've been very, very surprised with Belgium and their two performances so far. Very, very scratchy, and definitely not what you would expect if you start rattling off some of those names in their squad. Full of quality really, but like you said, maybe, well, not like you said, but like De Bruyne said, perhaps a few of them that were there on reputation rather than form, which I suppose is good to a degree. You want to keep that Queensland mentality of pick and stick, get the experience there, but it's just not really showing the ability to pick and stick if you perform like that. So unlucky for the Belgians, but on the other hand, Morocco were insane, full of energy. A really good performance from them, and they've put themselves in a nice little position going into the last game to book themselves through to the next round. So shout out to them, and shout out to their gaffer. Bit of a masterstroke there to bring on Sabiri and
A couple of super
Abu
subs.
Khalal off the bench there. Yeah, bang bang, 2 goals. So good on them. Good on the Moroccans. And I suppose another one that, similar to that Costa Rica-Japan game, possibly didn't go the way we wanted it to. Germany there with the late equaliser.
Yeah, it makes it a really
Keep
interesting
their hopes
looking,
alive.
really interesting looking pool now. That's for sure. Now going back to the pool that we were looking at before, we've managed to see the Germans come up with a late equaliser there. Fulkrug getting the goal to keep their slim hopes of progressing alive there in that game. A little 1-1 draw up against Spain after Morata had opened the scoring.
Yeah. Shout out to, I forget who was the German bloke that scored.
Fulkrug,
Yeah, shout out
I
to him.
believe. Fulkrug, I'm not too sure if that's how you
Last
pronounce it.
season, he was playing in the second division. 4 months ago, he earned his first German cap. Now he's playing at the World Cup at 29, and he's gone and scored a goal against Spain to keep them in the tourney. So, bit of a rise to stardom. At the age of 29, there's a bit later than most footballers would have seen it, but good on him for making that rise through and scoring the equaliser there. And I thought it was a good game, to be fair. Probably a bit more like it from Germany compared to their performance against Japan there, and obviously Spain coming up against a much tougher proposition than they did when Costa Rica didn't get off the bus against them. So yeah, there'll be some pretty gutted Japanese and Costa Rican fans out there that would have been hoping to see the Spanish knock them out, but
I'll be joining them there in that little bit of guttedness. I'd say I'm a little bit disappointed that we couldn't see Germany there with
2 consecutive group stage exits.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. You love the underdog, and it would have been cool to see. Especially Japan after managing to beat them, they get themselves over the line instead of Germany. But it's still all to play for there in that final day. Now, overnight we had a match between Serbia and Cameroon, which was a bit of a hectic result. Ended in a 3-3 result, that game there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought watching along with the highlights there when Serbia had gone 3-1 up in the second half, midway through the second half there, I thought that was it. They'd put the game to bed, but Vincent Abubakar had different ideas. He's obviously come out and said how he rates himself as a better player than Mohamed Salah. Believes he should have won African Player of the Year, but backing it up a little bit here in this one with a really good goal and assist for Eric Choupo-Moting there to square things up in the space of a couple of minutes there for the Cameroonians. And you thought after that they might have just had the momentum to go and grab a fourth, but wasn't to be. Ended up all square.
Yeah, a bit of a hectic result there in the end, and it's nice to see a couple of goals. We like a 3-3 draw like that. It is good to see. Now another hectic result that involved quite a few goals as well was Ghana up against South Korea. Ghana coming away off the win here, 3-2.
Yeah, the odd goal in the five goal thriller there. It was a pretty good game. I think Korea, they'll be a little bit disappointed with the way they, I guess, conceded their 3 and might have done better with an extra chance or 2, but a couple of really good goals for them as well. But yeah, it leaves them stranded on 1 point in that group, along with, like we'll discuss soon, the Uruguayans. So yeah, leaves them in a bit of a rough spot. But on the other hand, Ghana, they'll be very happy to come away with the 3 points.
Yeah, puts them up
to
into
move
second.
themselves into second in the group, and another game up against Uruguay, who are a really high quality side, but off the back of the win, the Ghanaians will be full of belief and confidence that they can do it and get some revenge for that 2010 quarter-final loss against the Uruguayans. But another one of the heavy favourites was also in action overnight. Brazil. They've locked themselves into the next round. Another one of those teams that have put themselves with 6 points with a 1-0 win over the Swiss, and yeah, it was a really good goal in the end from Casemiro to break the deadlock. Don't know if you've seen the highlights for this morning's games yet.
I haven't as of yet.
Yeah, it was a really, really good strike from Casemiro.
But I did see talk about him being possibly the best midfielder in the world after this performance, and I think
incredible. He was the
an
difference.
awesome game.
Yeah, he was absolutely the difference in this one. Well, not just him, I don't want to say, but yeah, definitely that little bit of Brazilian flair and class, and well-deserved goal for Casemiro. He was everywhere, and yeah, really establishing himself, reminding everyone that maybe it's Man United that are having the problems, and don't rule him out just yet, based off a couple of early scratchy performances for them there, because I'm sure he'll be looking to claw them back into contention over the next couple of years. But it tees up an interesting final round in this one, where the Swiss can get through with a draw, and Serbia have to get the win in that one there, and you're probably assuming that Brazil take care of Cameroon, but if they can beat Brazil, and
again, is it possibly a rested team with them already having the 6 points?
Everything's open here for those other three teams to go and snag that second spot there. And yeah, like you said, if Brazil do rest a couple of their star men, maybe we don't see the likes of Casemiro, or I know Neymar was injured in that last one. Don't know if he's due back, but yeah, one of those players that are usually the difference on the day for Brazil. The Cameroonian fans will be hoping so. I suppose most neutrals will be keen to see Cameroon get a big scalp over the Brazilians, and yeah, it's all open in that one. And I suppose the last game, another one maybe of the favourites, depending on how you rate them. Portugal, booking themselves through 6 points from their 2 games with a good win over the Uruguayans. I thought, to be fair though, it was a bit more even than the scoreline suggested there, 2-0 to a
couple of late goals in this one here.
Yeah, a bit of controversy over the first goal there.
The old Ronaldo flicked it with his hair goal.
Didn't he? Yeah, I guess that's up to Ronaldo to know whether it's touched his head. We don't exactly have hotspot in football, and I'm sure most people's heads would be pretty hot late on in the game. So yeah, not much use to bring in the hotspot there, but yeah, they'll be debating whether it was Fernandez's or Ronaldo's goal, but I think it goes down as Fernandez.
Gone down as Fernandez.
Double.
I saw after the game that Ronaldo was still trying to claim that he'd managed to get his head on it, but it looked like it was Bruno's goal there in the end.
I can certainly empathise with Ronaldo. There's certain times where, yeah, maybe you do get the slightest of touches on it, and nobody can see it, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm sure they'll both be happy regardless that the ball's ended up in the back of the net, and Portugal have booked themselves through. Fernandez doubling up with the late penalty. And I saw, yeah, Ronaldo was very happy and clapping on his former club teammate there and smiling away. So definitely no bitterness from Ronaldo that he'd been subbed off and a chance to take another penalty. So yeah, another chance at the knockout stages for the big man. Probably his last.
Who knows with him? You never know if that machine of a body that he's got, whether or not he can come round, but it does look like it will probably be his last. Now, as we look forward to this evening's games and the games over the next few days, we get into our third round action. Now it's make a break time for a lot of these teams now, and it's time to see which teams are going to be able to stand up and make a push as we get into the knockout stages, and which teams maybe don't have the quality this time around. Now we start off our third round action with some games overnight. Looking at Group A and Group B now, we have Ecuador up against Senegal, our first game to kick off, as well as Netherlands up against Qatar.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm going to have to assume that the Dutch can deal with the Qataris on this one. No disrespect there to the Qataris, but definitely not the flashiest side that we've seen on show at the World Cup. And yeah, the Netherlands full of superstars of the game, so I'm sure they'll be looking to get through that one without any major hiccups. And as long as that can happen, it tees up a very interesting one between Ecuador and Senegal there.
Yeah, that Ecuador-Senegal game's obviously the big one there. Both teams kicking off at the same time. So it is. It's an interesting couple of games we've got there. I think I'm probably leaning towards a draw. I can see a draw coming in this one here, and Ecuador managing to have enough to get them through. But obviously, if Senegal can nab a win, then they'll leapfrog Ecuador there and manage to get themselves into a bit of knockout footy. But it's an interesting one. Obviously, Ecuador have, I don't want to say maybe surprised a few people throughout this World Cup, but managing to get a draw like we set up against the Netherlands is no easy feat, and maybe having that easier opening fixture and getting the monkey off the back by making sure that they weren't also going to lose the opening round of a World Cup match against the hosts. So it's an interesting one. Group A, I can see. Yeah, I've got to say I'm leaning towards Netherlands there at the top and Ecuador coming through in second, I think.
I have to agree with you there. Either way, Ecuador and Senegal, I'm happy to back either of those two sides as a good underdog there in the knockout stages. So yeah, good on them. And another group where it's all to play for, Group B. Technically, everyone can make it through here. I mean, Wales would have to beat England by 4 goals. So I don't see that happening. I'm going to have to probably lean towards either an England win or a draw in this one, based on their respective last performances. But, England were pretty average against the US, and, anything worse than what they threw up against the US, and if Wales have their day, it could be, a miracle for the Welsh, but, yeah, big brother versus little brother in that one. Bit of a rivalry. Don't see it being a huge Welsh win to see a freak ticket for them through to the round of 16, I suppose. But
yeah,
the big one in this group. Sorry,
I gotta say, yeah, I'm leaning towards England. I think in that one there, as
poor as England were, I think Wales were equally as poor.
As iffy as they were up against the US, I don't see them falling short in this one here. I've got to say, yeah, I'm leaning towards England, and then obviously you've got Iran up against USA, which is a really big matchup.
A huge one. Yeah, I mean, on 2 different levels here. You've got the chance, obviously, to book themselves through to the next round. Iran in that slight better position, having been on 3 points than the USA's 2. But look, if you go off the most recent round of performances, I think you'd have to probably back the USA. they dominated England, and yeah, like we said, Wales probably weren't that flash with Iran getting the win there, and obviously if you just take their results against England and into account, the USA should win by 4. It's never the case in reality, so should be a huge one to see who goes through. And then obviously 2 massive clashes of culture. Obviously 2 countries that don't exactly love each other.
A bit
in
of a
the
feisty one,
political
possibly.
sense, and the Iranian sort of attitude towards women and that sort of stuff is a hot topic across the globe, particularly in the US. So yeah, it's a huge one in terms of all sorts of levels, really.
Yeah, really, really tasty matchup. I think this one, I've got to say, probably leaning towards. I'm thinking it's going to be England and Iran. I think Iran possibly have enough to get themselves over the line, at least get themselves a draw. In this one, and we're going to see England and Iran making it through. I've got a feeling in this group. But now jumping on over to the next day of games, we have Thursday morning for us here in New Zealand. We start off with Group D, and that's Australia up against Denmark and Tunisia up against the French.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry to say for the Tunisian fans out there, but I don't see them picking up a win to overtake the Danes or the Aussies in this one.
Bit of a tough one, I think, this one for them.
Yeah, so I guess that effectively rules the Australia versus Denmark game as a round of 32 clash there. So, look, it's going to be tough for Aussie. I probably have to back Denmark in this one with my brain. But you never know. Stranger things have happened, and I'll be backing the Aussies with my heart. And if they can negate Eriksen's impact on the game, they might just have a decent shot at things. You never know.
Yeah, obviously they'll be high on confidence after nabbing that win in their last game there, but I think it is a bit of a tough ask. And then obviously, yeah, like we said, will France maybe do a rest of the team? Even then, I don't see Tunisia having enough to nab a result on this one. So I gotta say, I probably see this. It's big, if Australia can nab a draw, obviously they go through.
Yeah.
But I think it might be heartbreak for the Aussies. I think it may end up with France and then Denmark going through in this group. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to tend to agree with you on that one. It's going to be a very tough day out for the Aussies, particularly with the Danes knowing that it's now or never. And they definitely ran the French a lot closer than the Aussies did. So that's not good signs. But moving on from there, we already shouted out this one a bit earlier, but Poland versus Argentina.
Poland, Argentina, and Saudi Arabia versus Mexico. Now, obviously, Poland, Argentina, yeah, like we said, is a huge game here. Now, if either side can get a win, obviously they will secure their way into the knockout footy, and it will obviously open up the option for Mexico to still get through, but also the opportunity there for Saudi Arabia, if they can nab themselves a result, to also make it through. Now, Poland, Argentina, first of all, I think this should be an awesome game. You've got 2 powerhouses coming up against each other, and Messi versus Lewandowski, which I think is going to be an awesome battle.
Yeah, we I think we mentioned that a couple of weeks ago before the World Cup even started, that would be a tasty matchup to see those two going head to head for their respective countries. But this one's obviously become a lot more paramount now with the chance to secure your way through to the round of 16 with the result. Look, all to play for in this group, isn't it? All sorts of different combinations that can see Argentina and Mexico, and Argentina and Saudi, and Poland and Saudi, and is there any way that Poland and Argentina go through?
Poland and Argentina.
If they draw, and then Saudi
if Saudi and Mexico draw, then we can have Poland and Argentina go through.
If they both draw, yeah.
If they both draw.
So there you go. It's a group where you can have any combination of any two teams. So
Argentina beat Poland by 1 goal, and Saudi Arabia draw. Poland will still go through, or even if Mexico only can win by the 1 goal, then Poland will still go through, just due to the goal difference there.
There you go.
So yeah, it's all to play for. And it's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to be backing Saudi Arabia. I'm hoping that they can get themselves a result to get themselves through. But I got to say, if I'm going with my head, I think I'm going to go Argentina and Saudi Arabia. I'm going to say Argentina make sure that there's no messing around, and they go out there and win by 2 or 3 goals.
Yep.
Drops that goal difference down there for Poland to -1 if it's 3. And Saudi Arabia, we need it to be a little bit more. It's tough. Saudi to pull off a shock win up against Mexico, and Argentina to get the win, and we're going to see Argentina and Saudi going through as my picks there from this one.
Yeah, look, here on the TGIF podcast, we've got one huge Saudi Arabian footballing fan. You just heard from him, and another bloke who's got them as a sweepstake, and myself. So we're definitely invested in the Saudi lads, so fingers crossed they can pick up the win. And I think if Poland were to pick up the win, a draw might be okay for Saudi, like we said. So yeah, come on Saudi, you can do it. We believe. But moving on, Group F, Morocco are sitting very pretty there on 4 points, up against the bottom of the group, Canadians. So based on results, I suppose you'd be backing the Moroccans to advance, but I think Canada showed some pretty good football in that first game, so if they can play like that and tuck away a chance or two. Obviously the Moroccans don't have a goalkeeper of Thibaut Courtois' stature, so yeah, you never know. Might be a historic Canadian win there. I don't believe they have picked up a point before.
No, I think with Davies was the first
Davies
goal
was the
for
first
Canada
goal, so they might have had a stalemate before, but I doubt it.
I think they lost all 3 in their first time around, so I think they'll be disappointed, obviously, that they've already been knocked out. But can they upset the Moroccans here possibly in this one?
Nothing to lose.
And then you've got Belgium up against Croatia. Now, bit of a interesting one, this one here, for Belgium to be in the situation that they're in, possibly not being able to make it out of this group stages.
Yeah, look, effectively winner goes through in this one, unless I think Canada pick up the win, in which case that complicates things a little bit, and I believe Croatia can still go through if Belgium win and Canada win. But look, Belgium have not looked anything like what we've seen them. For example, at the 2018 World Cup, we saw them get all the way to the semi-finals, I believe.
Yeah, they had a really good run.
Did they lose to France in the semi-final?
Possibly, I believe. Yeah.
Possibly knocked out the Brazilians in the quarterfinal in 2018. So look, we're going to have to see a bit of a U-turn in the way they've been playing football for them to make any sort of similar run. But look, they've got a good team and they should be able to play some good footy. So I suppose the Belgian fans will be waiting to see it, and they'll be hoping that it comes out against the Croatians.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
It's going to be a big one. I've got to say, I see Morocco being too strong for Canada in their one. I can see Morocco getting the win and getting up to 7 points, and I think as much quality as the Belgian side do have, I think we saw how Croatia came out in that game there against Canada. They look like they're up for it. I think they may be too tough to overcome, and I can see possibly a draw, which would mean we'd have Morocco finishing on 7 top and Croatia going through second
On 5.
on 5.
Yep. I'm thinking the exact same way myself. Even leaning towards a Croatia win there. To put it to a shootout on goal difference between them and Morocco there for the top of the group. But another one that could be a bit heartbreaking, similar to the Saudis, is Group E. Obviously, we're not as invested in the Japanese as the Saudis, but after they beat the Germans there in the opening game, we might have expected them to capitalise and beat Costa Rica there to book their way through to the next round, but it wasn't to be, so it's all open in that one, and I think it'd probably be back in the Germans to come out and do the business, pick up a good win against Costa Rica, and that puts them on 4 points with let's say a reasonable goal difference. It's going to be tough for Japan to pick up a result against Spain to
Really, really tough, I think, for Japan.
even get
in that
even
one,
with the Germans, and even then they'd be behind on goal difference.
Yeah, it's a rough one in the end there for Japan, the way that this has ended up. Maybe peaked a little bit too soon getting that win there against Germany. And I don't see Germany letting themselves slip up again.
Yeah.
I think they're probably going to be too strong. And I think we're going to end up seeing probably those two favourites from this group originally going through.
Yeah.
In Spain in there in first, and Germany there in second. I think Germany will be too strong in the end and probably put Costa Rica to bed. And I think Spain as well. Will be looking to get themselves another win on the board, and I think they possibly will up against this Japan team, who will be a little bit disappointed with where they end up and how their World Cup finishes up for them.
Yeah, for sure. They started off with so much promise, and it all just slipped through their fingertips at the crucial moment, and now they've got it really, really tough to come up against Spain, who showed some pretty good football in their last couple of games. So really tough for the Japanese, but we'd love to see them in the round of 16, and it'd be good to see the Germans knocked out at their expense. But we live in hope. Might not happen, but we live in hope. Group G. It's one that we mentioned before. Another one with it all to play for. Between those three bottom-ranked teams,
battling it up for second, exactly.
Serbia up against the Swiss, and Cameroon. They've got the tougher assignment there, having to come from the bottom of the group, I believe.
Sitting above Serbia at the moment based on goal difference.
Right.
Both down there on 1 point.
Having to leapfrog the Swiss's goal difference when they are coming up against Brazil themselves. When the Swiss are, no disrespect to Serbia, but I think you can say it when you're comparing it to Brazil. But the Swiss are only coming up against Serbia, whereas Cameroon are coming up against the mighty Brazil. So it'll be very tough for them to see their way through, but again, it's one that we live in hope for them. But if not, the Swiss can get through with a draw. So one of our main men at Arsenal over the last few years, particularly this season, Granit Xhaka, we'll be hoping to see him playing a starring role for the Swiss through to the knockout stages, I suppose.
Yeah, I've got to say, I see Brazil being too strong and managing to overcome Cameroon in this one. They'll be able to finish the top of the group there with 9 points, getting all three of their wins. And I've got to say, I don't see Serbia getting the win, is all I'm saying. I think it's going to be, they obviously need to draw the Swiss, and I think we will end up seeing Switzerland there in the round of 16, joining Brazil in some knockout footy.
Yeah, they've look, if you're not an avid watcher of these tournaments of the international game, you might be, a little bit surprised by how well Switzerland do. When you do look at their side on paper, their domestic league on paper compared to some of the other nations that are at the World Cup, but they've really made a good run of things over the last few tournaments, and it'll be good for them to book their way through to another knockout stage. The last of our groups sees Ghana in a pretty strong position to go through with the draw in second spot in their group. Portugal obviously have already booked their way through, but I think Uruguay can pick up a win and then see themselves through, so long as the Portuguese do them a favour up against the Koreans. But another one, a Korea win, they can see themselves leapfrog both Ghana and
They're currently sitting there in third, Korea,
Ghana and Uruguay,
just above
there.
Uruguay. But I don't see anything other than a Portugal win somehow in this game here.
To be fair, Portugal are definitely, it's like that Brazil group. Korea have a tougher ask of things than certainly Ghana or Uruguay do in picking up the win.
I've got to say, I think Portugal will probably be too strong in the end for this one. But I've got to say, Ghana is up against Uruguay. It's an interesting one. It's obviously a rematch of that match where Luis Suarez had that handball in the 2010 World Cup. And they'll be out for a bit of revenge. And I think we haven't really seen the best of Uruguay so far this World Cup. And I think Ghana may end up being too strong, and I think we may get to see them playing in a bit of knockout footy. So I think it's going to be Portugal there in first, and Ghana coming away with either a win or a draw there up against Uruguay and assuring themselves of some knockout footy.
Well, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good to see Ghana go through. If you can find it on Neds, we said it a couple of weeks ago, Suarez to get a red card up against Ghana. It's your last chance.
Now, speaking of betting, I believe you've managed to you've put on a few bets for the punters this week.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's all to play for in this last round of fixtures. So I thought, why not? It's going to be, I believe, a lot of teams playing with that desperation, that hunger, that last chance to really do something before the knockout stages. So I've gone and I've pretty much picked a multi for every day. I've picked 3 of the 4 games, and I've pretty much just gone and picked the favourites, except for one draw. I'll run you through them. The first one, you're going to go pick Netherlands, USA and England to win their games. Multi those all 3 together, and that's going to get you $3.46. So pretty much $3.46 for England to turn up and USA to beat Iran.
Yeah, I like it.
The second one, you're going to go France, Denmark and Argentina to all pick up the win. I think France will just have, like we've said it too many times already, too much quality for Tunisia. and then Denmark and Argentina with their World Cup hopes on the line. Those three, it's going to get you $3.38. Again, you're pretty much tripling your money for things to more or less go to script.
Yep.
Sees us into the next day's action, and I've gone for Croatia, Spain and Germany to win, and that's going to get you $4.08 pretty much for Belgium to continue their poor form, because like we said, World Cup on the line. I don't see Japan and Costa Rica picking up wins against those two European giants there, so I'm not too unhappy with those odds. But this is where we start getting some value. We're going to look at Ghana and Uruguay to pay out a bit of a draw, and then you're going to put Brazil and Switzerland on top to pick up wins. That's going to get you $13.05.
Ooh, yeah, I like it. Yep.
Now, what I've done is I've gone and let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So there's 12 bets there, 12 legs.
12 legs.
I've split that into 4 3-legs multis. But if you're backing me in, if you're thinking, yes, Greg, I like the sound of what you just said. I reckon all of those results are coming off. Multi them all together. Get your boost involved. 12 results. You're getting $788.64 to the dollar.
Tasty.
So you're pretty much scooping $1,000 for every buck you put down on this bad boy. So yeah, I'm going to have to start thinking of a sacrifice to the punting gods, like I mentioned earlier, because I really want this one to come off. $788.
Oh, it would be lovely. Wouldn't it? A big super multi involved there.
Pretty much all favourites as well.
Yeah, exactly. They are probably all favourites. So if it can come off, you'd be a happy chappy. That probably wraps us up for the World Cup for this week. We'll keep watching over the next few days, and we'll bring you a bit of action as we look forward to some knockout round. But we'll change it up a little bit, and we'll take a little look at the Black Caps, I guess, over the last few days. And we had an unreal game, didn't we?
Oh yeah, look. Sorry, India, but look, they've come to the number one side, ODI side in the world. They've come to our backyard, and they've seen why. We are perhaps ranked as number one ODI side in the world, based on those performances at home, because the two main men for the Black Caps, our skip and especially our vice skip, Kane and Tommy Latham, they were having absolutely nothing of an Indian victory the other night, coming out and chasing down the 309 in emphatic style.
307, I believe it was.
307. Did we end up on 309?
We might have ended up on 309, possibly.
But emphatic style from the two senior members of the batting lineup there for the Black Caps, and yeah. Look, I thought, Tommy, what a return to the side, eh? We don't see him in the 2020 lineup, but possibly a hint towards maybe we should see him in that 2020 side, because he was dispatching the bowlers to all sorts of the grounds.
A bit of everywhere, wasn't it? He was all over the park now.
On tap, yeah.
We had
brilliant.
A shaky start, obviously, sort of losing a few wickets for not the most, but I think I said to you, I don't know what time it was throughout the game, I said if these two can stay in for another, I think it was 8 overs, so it must have been around the 22nd over mark, and I said if they can stay in for a bit longer and we can get it, I don't know how many runs it was, maybe about 50 or so runs, I said it just turns into a bit of a 2020 chase, and we managed to do it. I was a bit gutted, I got to say, that Latham stole a few runs off Kane there, and he got stranded on 95, but nice to see Latham getting a hearty crack there.
Yeah, really good. I think that became Tommy's highest ever one-day international score, so good on him to come back into the side in such emphatic style. But yeah, like you said, there were a few moments early on, perhaps in our batting performance, perhaps when the Indians had a really, really good opening partnership. I think they cruised their way past 100 for none. Might have got one early wicket, but yeah, they were really cruising. But never really kicked on with their innings, and yeah, to be honest, I think you have to be getting closer to 350 based on the way we chase that down to be confident at Eden Park, because fuck, this boundaries are pretty tiny, eh?
Yeah, we definitely saw some quite a few fours, quite a few sixes throughout this game, and it made that run chase a little bit easier in the end, and I think we managed to chase them down with just under the 3 overs left, I believe it was. So I guess now all there is to look forward to is we got to cross our fingers for some dry weather.
Yeah, exactly. A bit more sunshine, and the lads will be back out tomorrow, I believe, for the third game of the series, with the second one being washed out. The Indians only getting the chance to go out and have a handful of overs to bat. So yeah, it's been a damn shame to have so many washouts. But yeah, I suppose one last note on that game. Shout out to Kane and Tommy for breaking the world record, setting a world record partnership.
Nice partnership, yeah.
At Eden Park. So I think I said to you at the time, it was a couple of things. It was probably a bit more fitting that it went to a New Zealand pair than an Indian pair. I believe it was Dhoni and someone else. I don't think it was Kohli. Someone else along with Dhoni. Sharma, maybe, right? Sharma?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, obviously world class, the two of them, but with it being our national stadium, it's a lot more fitting that it goes to a New Zealand pair. And yeah, no disrespect to Zimbabwe, but it's one of those records that, you know, if you do have the record, you don't want it to be up against a side that people are giving you excuses for. Obviously, to get a big partnership like that against the Indians, they can't be saying, oh, the Indians are no good. So yeah, good on them. But that probably wraps us up for the cricket, with just the one game being played over the last week.
Yep, we'll be crossing our fingers, like you said, for tomorrow, that there's some dry weather and the lads can get out and hopefully put in another performance like they did the other day. But I guess that leads us into a little quick check-in with how our two teams are going in the NBA. Now, it's not been the best of fortune since we spoke with you last. We've only had the one win picked up from either of our two teams, and that was today. My Wizards putting in a good high-scoring win up against the T-Wolves, trying to build on a little bit of momentum, but sitting at 11 and 10. It's not the flashes, but we're still up there at the moment.
Yep, at least you're playing above 50 ball, above 50%. The Knicks, like you said, haven't picked up a win since we last recorded, so leaves us sort of meandering there at 9 and 11, so down to 11th or 12th in the conference. So it'd be good to get back into the 8 if we can, with a good week this week, and perhaps coming in and we'll be saying we haven't picked up a loss since we last recorded. We're back in the 8 and we're cruising on through.
That is what we will be hoping for. Hoping for both teams to come away with a few wins over the next few days or so. As always, we don't really have too much to bring you there for the NBA, but we'll have a quick foray into the darts now. This morning, we had the draw for the big day. The draw for the World Championships was upon us, and now one big name that we were looking for there, us Kiwis, was the sole Kiwi involved in this World Champs, and that was Ben Robb, who will be the first match, I believe, first man up there on stage, and he comes up against where is it? I've just forgotten. Mickey Mansell. Apologies, Mickey Mansell. Now, Mickey Mansell coming out of England there. They play each other first, and the winner of this gets a huge matchup, and that is against the reigning champ in Peter Wright. Now, if Ben can get the win there, huge result, and it'll be a huge matchup for him there in that one. But there's a couple of tasty matchups throughout. We've got Bo Greaves making her debut. She's coming up against William O'Connor to see who's going to play Germany number 1 and Gabriel Clemens. You've got Ricky Evans up against Valen Sherrick. A lot of talk about this game here. Winner of whom will come up against Joe Cullen, so that'll be an interesting one. Rapid Ricky Evans, if you haven't seen him play, tune in and have a little watch of this game. He's unreal. You've got a bit of a North American battle. Danny Baggish up against Matt Campbell to see who's going to play Mervyn King. But there's some awesome games throughout. So be sure to tune in. There's plenty of darts that we played. It runs for, I believe, a couple of weeks, I believe. It runs through 2022 into 2023. So there's lots of darts to watch. And I guess we'll be rooting on for Ben Robb, the sole Kiwi involved in this tournament.
Yeah, shout out to the big rig. We had just heard him speaking on the radio.
Yeah, tuned in for a little bit of his show there and listen in to see what he had to say before he heads away. But it was good. But it probably wraps it up for us for this week. A slightly shorter episode again. But as we always say, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and obviously if you're still with us, if you're still listening, thank you very much. Remember to give us a like and a 5-star if you're so willing, and subscribe on the podcast and to our YouTube channel. Give us a follow on the various social medias, and yeah, enjoy the various upcoming events of your week, whether or not that involves a bit of footy or not. And yeah, if you're having a punt, do it responsibly, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you then.